So the Tower of Babel is really dumb. I don't know, I don't know why it came to mean, or like what. Okay, I need to start from the beginning. So the Tower of Babel is a tower that a few Babylonians made. I'm just gonna read you the scripture because it's like 9 verses, and that's the entirety of the scripture. So this is from the NIV, Genesis 11:1-9. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because the Lord confused their language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. So, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people like try to say that they were trying to reach God or whatever. In this context, heaven means literally the sky. Like they were trying to build a tall tower. That's it. They were trying to build a tall tower. I've heard people say that they were trying to reach heaven to overturn God or whatever. I've heard people say that they were, and I think the funniest I've heard was that they were trying to make something to do with like particle accelerators. I don't know, some weird CERN conspiracies. And basically they were trying to make a literal like dimensional gateway to heaven, which is stupid on so many levels. It's funny. I heard that on Facebook. Oops, I did breathe directly into the microphone. We'll ignore that. But if you like actually read the scripture, basically it's these people are trying to build a tall tower. They begin to build a tall tower. God's like, nah. And then he makes it so people don't speak the same language anymore, so that they are incapable of building tall towers. So it's basically God just preventing human progress. That's the entirety of the scripture. And like, I brought this up to a few Christians, namely my dad, and like, I think my uncle. I talked to my uncle about it too. Anyway, basically I said, okay, so if God literally confused their language across the entire world back then because they were building a tall tower, because they were going to be able to do whatever they wanted, why are we not being separated now? Why are we able to make towers without consequence? Why are we able to make massive skyscrapers? Why are we able to make rockets that literally go into outer space? And of course all their answers were bogus. Like, oh, they were trying to reach God, so God prevented them. It's about the intent, not the actual outcome or whatever, which is stupid because their intent was literally just to build a tall tower so that they would be famous. That was it. Because everyone spoke the language, they were able to plan accordingly, and God was like, no, that's not cool. I don't want you to do that. So he made it so no one could speak to each other. Well, I guess people could speak to each other, but and for context later, or the next verse, like 11:10, is like, or it says this is the count of Shem's family line, so it just goes into a genealogy. I'm not taking anything out of context, I promise. So basically God was against human progress, and I feel like the fact that we are able to go into space, like literally into heaven, or what the Bible would call heaven in this context, and God doesn't do anything about it, kind of proves the fact that God's not real, or at least the Christian God isn't real. I should probably qualify that. I'm not saying that no God is real. I've never claimed to say that, or I've never claimed to believe that, but the Christian God specifically, like there's no way, like on top of all the other things, I should do a video about the flood. The flood didn't happen. That's like provable fact. The Tower of Babel probably didn't happen. Tower of Babel is actually probably based on a ziggurat, just a big tower. And there was one famous, or quote unquote famous, big tower in Babylon called the Tower of Marduk. Marduk was a Babylonian god. He was like the head honcho, I believe, like the main big god, basically Ra. If you know basic Egyptian mythology, I don't think Ra was like the main god for all of Egyptian history. Anyway, you get the idea. He was the big guy. And just to the north of that, according to Britannica, there was this tower. I forget what it was called, Balal or something, which I don't know. Doesn't matter. So basically, it was a ziggurat, and most likely, if it did actually exist, or I mean, I don't know if ziggurat would be the proper term, but you get the idea. It was a temple, a really tall temple to praise some Babylonian god. And then I've heard people use that to say that was the reason that God spread them out across the earth, but also God didn't spread them out across the earth. We have like historical records of developing languages. I mean, like to a point, of course. We have records of like fossils of human bones showing where people spread out to, right? So it's not like everyone was in the Middle East, in Babylon, and then all of a sudden everyone was scattered across the whole world with a different language. Like, to my knowledge, we started in Africa, like middle Africa, and then as time went on, we spread more and more because I think we were able to spread so easily because our intelligence basically wasn't rivaled within the animal kingdom. So we just kind of took over the world super, super fast compared to, pretty much anything else. Because there was no, like, main dinosaur species, to my knowledge, that took over during any of those eras, despite the fact that dinosaurs are so much stronger and bigger and more powerful than us. I'd also like to point out that God basically... And sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. In Job, for instance, God is like... Job, don't question me. I can do anything. You can't do anything. But the people here, he's afraid that they will be able to do anything. So does that mean that now that we can do these sorts of things, that we don't need to listen to God if God truly does exist? Have we surpassed God? Are we gods ourselves? I think I actually mentioned this in the Job video, like the Job and Samson video. We have become gods according to the Bible. Like, the reason we shouldn't question God is kind of moot now, right? So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting story. The Tower of Babel is really dumb. It is not an attempt to make a multi-dimensional portal to the heavenly realms or whatever. It wasn't an attempt to literally reach God to overthrow him. It wasn't... I mean, it was probably a ziggurat to praise another god, but God didn't make other language. He didn't make anything. I feel like that's worth mentioning. But we understand how language developed, and this was just a myth made by people who didn't know anything to try to explain different languages. And the fact that people actually believe that this happened and use this as an explanation as to why there are people all over the world, like, have integrity, maybe do a little bit of research. Like, we know these things. These are verifiable facts. Like, as far as evolution is verifiable, because they're similar. Honestly, it's probably more concrete than evolution, and evolution is pretty darn certain at this point. So anyway, don't want to babble on too long. I get it, because babble. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. I love you all, and I feel like there's something else I normally say. Yeah, I don't know how to end this.